Welcome to Clear Blue Radiance pre-recorded version. Today is Thursday, October the 23rd, 2025. I'm the Clear Blue Radiance podcast host, Brother Francis E. Revels-Bey. I thought throughout the day, what could I record for my audience? Many of us are probably having a very difficult week. I know I am. But life is like that. We have our ups and our downs, just like being on a roller coaster. So I have a very, very short topic. I'm going to keep it as short as possible. However, it does involve meditation. So I know many people like to be able to get some meditational nuggets, and I have some things you could think about that you could possibly employ during your meditation that you're going to do tonight after you hear this short message. My topic is seeking your inner peace. Seeking your inner peace, or just seeking your peace. Well, many of us are relearning that true peace is never found externally in the outer world. Now, many of you could go back in time when you were youngsters, maybe around elders that were always working all the time. I know mine were. Mom and dad ran their own business, radio and TV business back in New York on Long Island. So it seems like they never had a chance to take a break. It was either go to work, provide for my older brother and myself, pay bills, who didn't do that, groceries, who didn't do that, and then church, because that's what they did. They went to church every Sunday. Sometimes I thought a little too long, but I realized they were ushers at church. There was times when men's are ushers, women are ushers. Then there's the choirs and so forth. They had their little roles that they participated in church on a Sunday. Then there was Wednesday night. I think people still do it now, Wednesday night or Wednesdays or Wednesday evenings of Bible study, and then Friday nights. That's a whole nother time to capture the community with the word of God, as they would say. So often people thought about those things. There were Masonic orders, uh, fraternal orders of that, I might say, just not just the Masons, but the women had what was called the Eastern Stars. So all these groups are always congregating. And many of them often said that they found their greatest peace in those groups, right, in those gatherings. Peace is never found, though, externally in the outer world. Peace is usually found within. So even though it appears to be found in our physical material world, and here are some of the things that people find to be a part of their peace in their world. Physical world accomplishments. That's like being able to have an education, graduate from grade school, high school, college, university, being able to have a promotion on a job maybe that they like doing. Some people had certain jobs they didn't like doing, but they were able to scale, to go upward, make more money. There was successful relationships, those in the dating scene, and then eventually find the right person and they get married and they begin to raise a family. That's usually most what happens. Either they got to live in an apartment or eventually in a home. But that was the external treasures in the world where people found their peace. Because after all, in a sense of community, everyone's striving to have some of the same things that their neighbors have, right? Those of you who are lucky to grow up with grandparents in the South or upstate, wherever you lived, and they had farmland, you had plenty of peace there because it was quiet outside at night. You didn't have anything disturbing that peace. So often people were seeking peace from others and from such social endeavors. Well, perhaps we experience through other settings, such as, again, being outdoors in nature. Now it's a big thing for 30 years going on retreats, going out of state, leaving the country, just to find peace. In other words, to break the daily rhythm, the daily habit of just everyday things that eventually did not allow you to experience peace or a sense of peace. And so, what have people done over the past 30 and 40 years? Attending social group events and participating in social group events that would lead you towards solo events. Being by yourself. There are many ways. Nowadays, in modern times, people have caught on to sweat lodges and happen to be with people who do that. Some people do it for a living, but some people in the quote unquote indigenous tribes, that's a way of life for them to be able to experience a sweat lodge. So people do these things. People have kivas inside and outside their homes over here in the Southwest in New Mexico. They can go into a small setting or a large setting and light a fire and sit there and be in a state of peace with the fire outdoors, almost in all types of weather. Well, then there's the other side of the coin. The other side of the coin is when we have our own illusions, our own falsehoods, our worries, our doubts, or we're influenced by other people who are experiencing their illusions, their doubts, and therefore kind of spilling it over into your life. That can occur through childhood settings. Maybe your peers in childhood, or your parents, or some elder in the family, a sibling having their own issues. These things do occur many times. Not everybody is blessed to find themselves in a happy setting with happy siblings, happy mom and dad, aunts and uncles, grandparents. To go to school and not be bullied by anybody. These things happen. People always say through poor upbringing, victims become victims and sometimes stay a victim. And I'm not knocking that person because I was in those situations growing up as a child, being bullied in school and having to learn how to work it out. So I'm not being the victim anymore. Some parents threw their children in martial arts training. Some of them still are in martial arts training now as teachers, master teachers in different martial art disciplines. Because what? They conquered themselves. They conquered their fear. They overrode their illusionary thoughts and bad feelings about themselves and raised their self-esteem and became the pillars, strength, courage, understanding, better citizens, better community persons, and therefore can reach out and help others. So often, the illusion sometimes, depending on who your parents, your family members were, sometimes those illusions were the Kool-Aid that you drank because that's what you grew up in. You didn't know until you got beyond your family, got beyond your peers. We have been led to believe that peace is always external and never internal. So you can imagine people say, okay, well, we're going to go to church, we're going to go to synagogue, we're going to go to the mosque, and we're going to learn from the Quran, we're going to learn from the Torah, we're going to learn from the Bible. And that being pounded in. And there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you choose to do. But sometimes that creates restrictions because a person is taught that they cannot go outside of religious training to find that peace that they're seeking. Hopefully, their teachers are offering them peace. The community that they belong to is offering them peace. So I'm not poo-pooing it down. I'm just saying we have to be aware. And there's some great teachers in those institutions that taught well and that can impact their audience, their congregants. But as we eventually learn, peace is never external. It's never external in the way that we were taught. And what we have to realize, those people that taught us those things, they were doing the best that they could during that time for themselves. That's also important. So we can't be always mad at mom, dad, brother, sister, aunt, uncle, grandmother, grandparent, cousins. Can't be mad still at the neighbor. Can't be mad at the kids in school because we somewhere inside, we have to raise up our self-esteem. We have to feel ennobled within ourselves. We don't pay attention often to the peace that is within because of these distractions. And that's what they are. They are distractions. All of us want to belong to a group, a pod, something, somewhere. We're always seeking. We're always seeking something outside of ourselves. We go, oh, that group over there looks like we're in the same frequency together. We're vibing together. So I think I'll go over there. Oh, I will attend school over there because I think those students and those faculty members and those administrators are on the same network with me. Oh, I'll decide to go to that spiritual center, that spiritual school. Everybody in there must be on the same frequency. And that's not always true. You will find a few, a small huddle, as we would say. And we're fortunate enough to find enough of those huddles that get bigger. Those pods continue to grow. But still, we're going outside of ourselves. There's certain disciplines like when we study yoga or qigong or tai chi or martial arts, even you're studying that in a group setting, but all of that pushes you gently and sometimes abruptly to go within, to deal with that energy, what it feels like on the inside. I remember attending a martial arts class, especially away from the college, or Tai Chi away from the college. I'm talking about over 40, 50 years ago. And I had to come home and I had to find it somewhere. I was fortunate. Found it in the town, little town of Hempstead on Long Island. Found a taekwondo class and turned out that guy was a Shotokan teacher, Japanese martial arts, and that seemed to fit me better. And then after that person slid away, came back later, and what did I find after graduating from college? A Tai Chi instructor in the same town. Turned out he lived in New York City. So eventually studied with him on a Thursday night and met up with him on a Saturday in Manhattan, study Tai Chi. But that was still in the beginning going outside of myself. Because that's what we have to do sometimes. We have to go outside to recognize that the peace that we're seeking on the outside of this frame is actually inside. Especially when you learn to calm down your thoughts. Certain disciplines can get you very focused, where now those external thoughts are no longer distractions. Sound beyond a room is no longer a distraction. Sometimes it may be a little bit, depending on how the walls or the building is made. If they're thin, it's going to be some sound. If they're thick walls and solid, you're not going to hear anything, not even in the hallway. Because you're going to notice that you have established this internal vibration of peace for yourself and are able to maintain that peace and then begin to radiate that peace past your physical body, past through your skin, through your pores, out into the open around you. And you can get to a point where You could be with a few people or many people, and all of you are meditating together for that sense of internal peace and don't hear a pin drop. Can feel the energy in the room raise up and begin to create that network frequency where people are kind of interlaced with each other energetically. Where somebody is on a higher plateau and somebody on the lower rung, like a ladder, is being pulled up into that frequency, that higher plane, that higher atmosphere. So we want to keep in mind that there are many distractions around us. And it's up to each one of us as individuals to be consistent in our meditations, to do them daily. Now, you might ask, when is the best time, Brother Francis, to do a meditation? Well, everybody has to find their time. Usually in the moments before dawn, before the sun rises. There's a time for people to pray. It's like between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. worldwide. The Chinese say in their five element system, that's where lung qi is the strongest. You're at your deepest level of sleep, and the qi is full and expanding in your lungs and then carried out through your body. Your breathing, your qi become one and the same. There are some other things that you can also experience. Your dreams get clearer. Yeah. Some of you may experience what I call soul traveling. Others call astral projection. Many of you may have experienced that as well. But here's the cool thing about all those things. They're taking place on the inside of us. Our highest heights, our most infinite selves are experienced within, not here, because this gets ignited with the chi later, but through the heart. And that's why I always tell people my teachings, all my classes, whether I'm at Resident Essentials, Esoteric School of Metaphysics, teaching on a Saturday morning, meditation, might have 8 or 9 people, sometimes 2 people with me. But here's the thing. Even if there's 3 of us, that energy can vibrate into the walls, out on the hallways, out into the parking lots, outside the front door, because 3 people know how to generate and then regenerate that energy, that chi internally, so that they are in their deeper levels. And I tell you, these layers go deep and they're infinite. It's like a deep cavern, and you find yourself in the belly of Mother Earth. And you actually see some things. Or you find yourself in the heavens beyond the rooftops, beyond the atmosphere, out into the sun, and beyond that sun, into the great central sun. You can feel those things. But first, you've got to get into that moment of silence. You have to get into that chamber, that energy field, where you begin to experience your higher self. That's you carrying a higher vibration and a higher frequency, where you're able to connect with infinite realms of consciousness that are higher than the one you have now. This is important. So what am I saying? Don't let the past rule your present. Don't let the future of what you're trying to get to, don't let that overwhelm you and allow you to slide away from the present moment. In the present moment are the gifts to yourself. That's the true treasure to yourself, to be within, to experience this journey of life within yourself. And yes, there are going to be moments where there's some lightning, there's some water building up, thrashing and crashing all around you in your life in different ways, affecting your emotions, affecting how your thoughts are. However, you can get to the point where you're absolutely at peace with yourself, which means you're not out here. You're in the center of your true being, in your heart. That's your own solar connection is the heart chakra. You're there, the wheel of light. That's where you're at. So you learn to get there. So, in this little short talk, it's all about seeking your peace, but your peace is not outside. Your peace emanates on the inside of you. So, to close this out, because I don't want to take up too much of your time, this is pre recorded. I want you to go within with me, with yourself. Begin to inhale through the nose, and let the breath out through the mouth. And I want you to do that 3 times or 4 times. But I want you to do it so that you are relaxing, because that's very, very, very important. I want to get that into the mic. It's very important that you can relax. So go within. Place your awareness on the center of your sternum. Behind there is your physical heart. But I want you to feel the presence of the heart like a wheel of light, like a ball of light, like a flame. And the flame does not burn you. The flame is soothing. So as you inhale and exhale, you begin to relax. Let your shoulders come down. You can keep your eyes open, or you can choose to keep your eyes closed. But usually when we close our eyes, we're not letting any external energy affect us through the eyes, and therefore distract us in our meditational practice. And the thing is that we want to remember is that when we are delving into ourselves, we're letting go of the day's thoughts. So if you do your meditation in the morning, you're not tuning in too much or what you think you're going to experience when you leave your home. So that's why it's good to meditate. You also, in your meditation, you're not thinking about who might call you on your mobile phone or your house phone. You just relax. Now, it's perhaps easier said than done when you live by yourself. But when you live with others, sometimes you may have to announce in the beginning that you're going to be in meditation from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., or you're going to be in meditation the time the sun rises until that 20 minutes, 30 minutes when it's fully has gone from a golden orange, soft white to bright white. But you're going to be done. Sometimes when you're at work, you choose to meditate during lunch. Go to a place to be by yourself where you won't be disturbed by coworkers or so-called employees or employers, but you go within. So when you reach that 3rd or 4th breath, adjust all the breathing through the nose. Do not hold the breath at the top of the inhalation nor the base of the exhalation. And while you do that, do not rush the process of breathing. When you take your time, place the tongue to the roof of your mouth behind your 2 front teeth on the ridge of the gum starting to go up, and rest it there. This creates like an energetic light switch, your tongue, connecting the central channel that'll wind up right here. And on the other side of that is where the tip of your tongue is, as well as connecting here and then down into the throat chakra, the center of the chest, the heart, the solar plexus, the navel, and beneath the navel, into the groin, into your tailbone. And the circuit is on the inside. Inhale. Exhaling. Inhaling. Exhaling. And what you're going to do is pay attention to how that air feels coming in through the nostrils and going out of the nostrils. That's important. How does it feel? How does the rhythm of your breathing feel to you? People might say, should I focus on the third eye, the point here? Your third eye, your pineal gland is way in the back between your two ears, so to speak. And the pituitary is under the hood at the top called the thalamus. That's where it is, and it's connecting into the crown. So your pineal gland is connecting your two eyes. So not only can you see externally, but you can see internally. And that's what I want you to do. Let your whole body get into the breathing. Do you know that you can lead your breath into any part of your body? Say if you have a headache, you need to be on the top of your head, in the center, and then slide your awareness back to the crown. Then bring your breath forward, the attention up into your forehead. Through your eyes and down the face, around the ears and in the ears, in the base of your skull if you can. And what you're doing is you're placing your awareness to those points. You place your awareness slightly touching the base of the throat, going into the clavicle, that little part that hooks in. That's the point of the throat chakra. If you place your awareness there, you will feel everything move down into that space, meaning your awareness. Still taking your time with your breathing. So when you're inhaling and exhaling, what you want to do is, as you exhale, you don't hold it out. Just when you feel that desire to inhale, that's when your body is telling you inhale. Your lungs is seeking that energy. So you just inhale. Now, there are many master teachers out around the world, and they have even shorter concepts of this. And get you to spend 3 minutes, 5 minutes, just going into that internal space. So in order to get there, don't think about anything else beyond the room that you are in. Maybe you're listening in your transportation vehicle. Do not listen to anything outside of that vehicle. Maybe you have on headsets. You're on the bus and you're on the subway. You still can do it. When you're in environments that are huge, that have a lot of people, your mind and body are one of the same. Your heartbeat is one of the same. And you can then sweep the energy out as you exhale. The energy is being swept out in front of you, swept out above you. down around the sides, even with your heart. You even may think about your back. You'll find a way. You'll feel the chi flowing underneath the skin and on top of the muscle in a membrane called the fascia. But once that is established, flowing into the fascia will hold the chi, and you will continue to breathe. And someone within my audience might say, well, how do I mask out sound, period? We say sometimes you can use in your mind your remembrance of a golden white light or a white light or blue light or a pink light. And you feel it as a flame inside, an etheric flame that doesn't burn you, but inside the heart itself and soothing. The heart is a muscle. It's going through everything in the heart. And then it expands beyond the heart into your lungs, because that's where you're actually breathing. Then you can focus on your hands, heart centers there on the palm, and just focus. Just being at peace with yourself. This is all about finding and seeking and finding your peace. It's not outside, it's always on the inside. So even when we get upset about something, we have to return to the inside to flush out that energy. People say, well, how do I deal with pain? Meditation. How do I deal with emotional pain? Meditation. How do I feel and deal with stress in my life? Meditation. Meditation can be utilized because it's a rebirthing tool, it's a regeneration tool, it's a recreation tool, it's a co-creator tool, it's a tool for personal transformation. So thank you for joining me in this pre-recorded video done for you on Thursday evening, October 23rd, 2025 for Clear Blue Radiance, my podcast. My name is Brother Francis E. Revels-Bey, and I've been someone who's been into meditation since 1971 while a freshman in college when it was taught to me. And then over the years of being a student there, I shared what my experiences were people that played sports, people into martial arts clubs, people just sitting outside by the library. People learned how to meditate, and it was a good thing for me. And I've been doing it ever since. And I just want to add that people say, well, how do I trigger that higher awareness? Well, that part of yourself known as your higher self, that is the one who contains the higher wisdoms for you. You will come to the realization that you are real. You and the higher self are one and the same. So when we say higher self, we're going beyond the physical form. That's what we mean by the higher self, the one that already knows, that part of yourself that already knows, already remembers, because remembrance is the key. So if you go within internally and begin to have that relationship with the higher self, you may trigger that experience within 6 months, 5 months, 8 months, 9, a year. Before you know it, you'll be there. And you'll know when you're there. Because when you come outside of the meditation, your energy to pick up on things is present. Your levels of sensitivity through touch are present, through your ears of sound, through your eyes of sight, through your nasal passage, inhaling and exhaling. You can feel distinctive differences around yourself. And it improves your discernment. So thank you so much for your time. My grace is your grace. Until next time, remember that divine grace is a blessing as we're alive and well in the age of remembrance. Look forward to hopefully doing this live next week, which will be the 30th. But if not, hey, I'll do another video for you. There's nothing wrong with that. It's so that you get this information, can utilize it right away in your life. I'm Brother Francis E. Revels-Bey. And if you have a question for me, email me at iam.circleofgrace1@gmail.com. That's iam.circleofgrace1, the number one, like you see in the logo, right after the word grace without a space, at gmail.com. All right, everybody. Have a good night.